In the Fashionable Citizen Network, we intend to pose a question on the church and the state. Could the deep-seated principle of church and state separation find a place in the discussion of the Second Amendment? This is a question that stirs the pot of our societal norms, shedding light on the interplay between religious teachings and constitutional rights. Our first presenter, a spiritual healer, steps into the conversation with a unique perspective. He suggests that the Second Amendment, with its right to bear arms, doesn't contradict the teachings of love and nonviolence found in many religions. He argues that self-defense is not only a constitutional right, but also a divine one. He believes that defending oneself, one's family, and one's community is an act of love in itself, reflecting religious values of protection and preservation of life. However, our professor of religious studies counters this perspective, bringing in his academic insight into the debate. He argues that the Second Amendment, in its current interpretation, promotes a culture of violence that is incompatible with religious teachings. He posits that the principle of turning the other cheek, found in many religions, contradicts the aggressive, often preemptive self-defense that the Second Amendment can justify. The spiritual healer counters, saying that the Second Amendment does not inherently promote violence, but simply provides a legal framework for self-defense. He emphasizes that it's the interpretation and application of this right that can lead to violence, not the right itself. He further suggests that the principle of turning the other cheek should not be taken literally, but rather as a call to avoid unnecessary conflict. The professor, however, maintains his stance, arguing that the church and state separation was meant to prevent religious justification of legal principles. He suggests that interpreting the Second Amendment through a religious lens can blur the lines between church and state, potentially leading to biased legal interpretations. In conclusion, the spiritual healer sees the Second Amendment as a constitutional manifestation of a divine right to self-defense, while the professor warns against the dangers of justifying legal principles with religious teachings. Both presenters make compelling arguments, showing the complexity of the interplay between church, state, and the Second Amendment. This debate, like many others, continues to evolve, reflecting the changing tides of societal norms and values. As we continue to grapple with these issues, it is important to remember the power of dialogue and the necessity of understanding differing perspectives. After all, it is through these discussions that we grow as a society, shaping our laws and beliefs for the better. This is the Fashionable Citizens Network.